Strong women are not born overnight. They are built through challenges, choices, and courage. And today, I'm going to share 10 powerful rules that every unstoppable woman lives by. These are not just tips. They are life-changing shifts that can turn pain into power, fear into fuel, and dreams into reality. If you miss even one, you might miss the key that unlocks your true potential, so lean in. Because here's how to own your strength and rule your life. The one, how to set boundaries without guilt. Strong women know that boundaries are not walls that keep people out. They are gates that protect what's inside. Think of your energy, your time, and your emotional space as the most valuable currency you have. Would you leave your wallet open on the street for anyone to take from? Of course not. Yet so many women leave their emotional and mental wallet wide open, saying yes to everything, agreeing to commitments they don't have the capacity for, and tolerating behavior that drains them. Setting boundaries starts with a truth that might feel uncomfortable. You are not responsible for keeping everyone happy. The sooner you accept that, the sooner you'll reclaim your power. People who truly respect you will not be offended when you draw the line. They will understand and even admire you for it. The ones who get angry when you set boundaries are the same ones who are benefiting from you not having any. Boundaries are not just about saying no to others. They're also about saying yes to yourself. When you guard your time, you create space for rest, creativity, and growth. When you guard your heart, you protect yourself from toxic relationships and emotional chaos. When you guard your mind, you choose the thoughts, conversations, and influences that shape your life. But here's the tricky part. Women are often conditioned from childhood to be nice, agreeable, and selfless. We're taught that saying no is rude, that putting ourselves first is selfish, and that we should avoid disappointing others at all costs. That conditioning is hard to break, but it's necessary if you want to live in alignment with your values and your vision. The next time someone asks for your time, energy, or resources, pause before you answer. Ask yourself, does this align with my priorities? Will this drain me or fulfill me? Am I saying yes because I want to, or because I'm afraid of disappointing them? That pause is where your power lies. And remember, you don't owe anyone an elaborate explanation. A simple, I appreciate the offer, but I can't commit to that right now, is enough. You don't have to justify, over-explain, or defend your decision. The moment you start over-explaining, you give the other person room to negotiate your boundary. It will feel uncomfortable at first. Your heart may race, your voice may tremble. But each time you stand firm, you build an unshackable muscle. You start to notice that the right people stay, and the wrong ones quietly drift away. You start to feel lighter, freer, and more in control of your life. And perhaps most importantly, you start respecting yourself on a whole new level. Because boundaries are not about pushing people away. They're about protecting the space where your peace, purpose, and power grow. The moment you understand that, you stop feeling guilty and you start feeling grateful. If you want, I can now expand number 2 in the same style, so your speech flows perfectly from one point to the next without losing momentum. 2. How to say no with confidence. One of the most liberating skills a strong woman masters is the ability to say no without hesitation, without fear, and without drowning in guilt afterward. A confident no is not an act of rebellion, it is an act of self-respect. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve you, you are saying no to something that does. That something might be your rest, your goals, your peace of mind, or your family time. Many women struggle with this because from a young age, they're taught to be agreeable, helpful, and accommodating. Saying no feels like letting someone down, or worse, being labeled selfish or difficult. But the truth is, saying no is one of the most honest and empowering things you can do for yourself and for the person asking the person. Asking a fake yes breeds resentment, but a real no builds clarity and respect. Think of your life as a limited container. You only have so much energy, time, and focus to pour into it. If you allow it to be filled with everyone else's priorities, there will be no room left for your own. Every yes has a cost. The question is, are you willing to pay it? Confidence in saying no comes from 2 things: in knowing your priorities and believing in your right to protect them. When you're clear about what matters most to you, the decision becomes easier. It's not about rejecting the person. It's about honoring your purpose. You don't have to be harsh or cold when you say it. A calm, firm tone works best. Simple phrases like, I won't be able to take that on right now. That doesn't work for me. But thank you for thinking of me. I'm focusing on other priorities at the moment. The more you practice, the less you'll feel the urge to justify or defend your answer. People may push back at first, especially if they're used to you always saying yes. That's normal. But over time, they'll start to respect your boundaries, and you'll start to respect yourself even more. A confident no opens the door for a stronger, clearer, and more authentic yes when it truly matters. It's not rejection, it's direction. 3. How to believe in yourself when no one else does. Every strong woman has faced a moment where the world seemed to look at her with doubt in their eyes. Sometimes That doubt is loud, people telling you directly, you can't do this, or it's impossible. Other times, it's silent, the way they hesitate before supporting your ideas, the way they change the subject when you share your dreams. And sometimes the hardest one of all is the doubt you hear inside your own head. Believing in yourself when no one else does is not just a mindset, it's a survival skill. It's the ability to stand tall in the middle of storms, criticism, and even isolation and still whisper to yourself, I can, I will, watch me. That whisper, when repeated enough, turns into a roar. The first step is understanding these people's doubts are often a reflection of their own limitations, not yours. If someone has never climbed a mountain, they might tell you it's too high. If they've never chased a dream, they might tell you it's unrealistic. That's why you can't base your belief in yourself on their experiences, because their map is not your territory. When you feel alone in your vision, go back to your why. Why did you start? Why does this matter to you? Your why is the fuel that will keep your belief alive when the road gets lonely. Write it down, repeat it daily, and remind yourself that you are building something bigger than the approval of others. Another key is to collect proof of your own capability. Think back to every time you overcame something difficult, times you thought you couldn't, but you did. Those moments are your personal evidence that you can trust yourself. Keep them close in your memory and pull them out when doubt creeps in. Also, learn to feed your mind with the right voices. If the people around you don't believe in you, make sure you are surrounding yourself, physically or virtually, with people who do. Read the books, listen to the podcasts, watch the stories of people who have walked the path you're on. Let their victories remind you that you are not alone in the struggle. Believing in yourself is not about arrogance. It's about self-trust. It's about knowing that you may not have all the answers right now, but you trust yourself to figure it out along the way. It's about choosing faith over fear, not once, but every single day. And here's the truth. Many people will only believe in you after you've succeeded. They will not clap and tell you they always knew you could do it. But you'll know the real story that you believed first when no one else did. And that belief is what carried you through the silence, the doubt, and the darkness until you reached the light. 4. How to stop apologizing for your worth from an early age. Many women are taught to shrink themselves to make others comfortable, to soften their voice, lower their expectations, and downplay their achievements. You've probably heard it or even said it yourself. Sorry, I didn't mean to bother you. Sorry, I might be wrong, but sorry, I'm probably overreacting. These constant apologies aren't just about politeness. They're signals that you've been conditioned to feel like your presence, your needs, or your opinions are somehow a burden. A strong woman understands that her worth is not up for debate. She does not ask permission to exist fully. She knows that her achievements don't need to be dimmed so others can shine. And her voice doesn't need to be muted so others feel louder. The moment you stop apologizing for your worth is the moment you reclaim your power. One way to break this habit is to start catching yourself in the act. Listen to how often you begin a sentence with sorry when you're not actually at fault. Replace unnecessary apologies with gratitude or clarity. Instead of saying, sorry, I'm late, say, thank you for waiting. Instead of, sorry, I might not be right, say, here's my perspective. Language matters. It shapes how you see yourself and how others see you. You also need to own your achievements without deflecting them. When someone compliments your work, resist the urge to say, it was nothing or I just got lucky. Accept the recognition with a simple, thank you, I worked hard for that. This isn't arrogance, it's acknowledgement. Every time you downplay your success, you teach others to do the same. Stopping the habit of apologizing for your worth also means refusing to shrink your dreams to fit someone else's comfort zone. Some people will feel intimidated by your ambition or threatened by your confidence. But that's their discomfort, not your responsibility. You don't exist to make everyone comfortable. You exist to live your truth. Your worth is not dependent on how much you do for others, how much you sacrifice, or how small you can make yourself to avoid attention. It is inherent. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to explain it. You simply have to own it. 5. How to turn rejection into redirection. Rejection stings. It's the email that never comes, the job you didn't get, the proposal that was declined, the person who walked away. In that moment, it feels personal, final, and heavy. But strong women know that rejection is not the end of the road. It's a signpost pointing you toward a different, often better direction. The first step in transforming rejection is to change the way you see it. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Start asking, what is this teaching me? Where is this trying to guide me? Every no you've ever received has either protected you from something that wasn't right for you or prepared you for something better. Think about the times you wanted something so badly, only to realize later that it would have been a disaster if you had gotten it. Maybe that job would have drained you, that relationship would have broken you, or that opportunity would have limited your growth. Rejection can feel cruel in the moment, but in hindsight, it often reveals itself as one of life's greatest protections. The second step is to use rejection as fuel. Let it sharpen your focus, strengthen your skills, and clarify your vision. If you didn't get the opportunity you wanted, ask yourself what you can learn from the experience. Can you improve your approach, develop new skills, present yourself differently next time? Rejection isn't a signal to stop, it's a challenge to grow stronger. Strong women don't allow a single no to define their worth. They know that someone else's inability to see their value doesn't mean that value doesn't exist. The world is full of people who will tell you, now for reasons that have nothing to do with you, timing, budgets, personal bias, or their own limitations. None of those things erase your capabilities. Finally, redirection means keeping your eyes open for new opportunities. Sometimes a closed door forces you to walk down a path you would have never considered, and that path leads you to exactly where you were meant to be. The key is to stay open, adaptable, and willing to believe that something better is coming, even when you can't see it yet. 6. How to invest in yourself. Unapologetically strong women understand that they are their own greatest asset. The time, energy, and resources they put into themselves are never wasted, they are multiplied. Yet many women hesitate to invest in themselves because they've been taught to pour everything into others first, leaving only scraps for their own growth. The truth is, when you invest in yourself, everyone around you benefits too, because you show up stronger, wiser, and more fulfilled. Investing in yourself can take many forms. It might be financial, enrolling in a course, hiring a coach, or attending a seminar, prioritizing health, fitness, and rest, even if it means saying no to other demands. It might be emotional, spending time in therapy, practicing self-care, or surrounding yourself with people who uplift you. And it might be spiritual, taking time to reflect, meditate, or nurture your inner peace. The first step is to drop the guilt. Many women feel selfish for spending money, time, or energy on themselves. But think about it this way: if you're running on empty, how can you possibly give your best to anyone else? The more you grow, the more you have to offer. You can't pour from an empty cup, and investing in yourself is how you keep it full. Another key is to see investment as a necessity, not a luxury. You don't wait until your car completely breaks down to change the oil. You maintain it regularly so it keeps running smoothly. Your mind, body, and spirit work the same way. If you only invest when things are falling apart, you'll always be in recovery mode. Consistent investment keeps you in growth mode. It's also important to remember that not all investments are comfortable. Sometimes they require stepping out of your comfort zone, spending money you've been holding on to, committing to a schedule that challenges you, or facing parts of yourself you'd rather ignore. But growth rarely happens in comfort, and the returns on these uncomfortable investments can be life-changing. When you make yourself a priority, you send a clear message to the world: I am worth it. That message doesn't just shape how others treat you. It shapes how you treat yourself every single day. 7. How to turn fear into action. A fear is one of the most powerful forces in life. It can either paralyze you or propel you forward. Strong women don't wait for fear to disappear before they move. They act while fear is still present. They understand that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. Fear often disguises itself as logic. It whispers, "You're not ready yet. What if you fail?" Or, "What will people think?" These thoughts feel protective, but in reality, they are chains keeping you from the life you want. The key is to recognize fear for what it is: a signal that you're stepping into new territory. And new territory is where growth happens. One of the most effective ways to turn fear into action is to reframe it. Instead of seeing fear as a warning to stop, see it as proof that you're on the edge of something meaningful. If it didn't matter, you wouldn't feel afraid. That fear is often a sign you're about to grow into a stronger, bolder version of yourself. Another strategy is to break the action into small, manageable steps. Fear thrives in the face of massive, overwhelming goals. But when you focus on one small step at a time, you strip fear of its power. Each completed step builds momentum, and momentum is fear's greatest enemy. It's also important to remember that fear loses strength through repetition. The first time you speak in public, launch a business, or set a boundary, it feels terrifying. The second time, it's still uncomfortable. But by the 10th time, it becomes part of who you are. Repeated action builds familiarity, and familiarity dissolves fear. Strong women also learn to detach from the outcome. Fear often grows from imagining worst-case scenarios. But when you focus on the process, on showing up, giving your best, and learning from the experience, you remove the pressure to be perfect. You allow room for mistakes, growth, and unexpected opportunities. Fear will never fully disappear, but it doesn't have to control you. You can choose to let it be the engine that drives you forward instead of the anchor that holds you back. Every time you act in the face of fear, you expand your comfort zone and prove to yourself that you are stronger than you once believed. 8. How to rise after failure. Failure is not the opposite of success, it's part of it. Every strong woman has a story of falling hard, hitting rock bottom, and wondering if she'd ever get back up. But what separates those who stay down from those who rise is the decision to treat failure not as a dead end, but as a detour. The first step in rising after failure is to strip it of shame. Too often, women blame themselves harshly for mistakes, setbacks, or missed opportunities. But failure doesn't mean you're not capable, it means you're human. Every person who has achieved something remarkable has failed, often more times than they've succeeded. What matters is not how many times you fall, but how many times you stand up again. Strong women see failure as feedback. Instead of asking, why me? They ask, what can I learn from this? Every setback carries information about what works, what doesn't, and where you need to adjust. If you're willing to listen, failure can become your greatest teacher. The next step is to rebuild your confidence. Failure can shake your self-belief, making you doubt your abilities. This is where action becomes essential. Start small. Set tiny goals you can accomplish quickly, and let each one remind you of your capability. Confidence doesn't return overnight. It grows with each forward step you take. It's also important to surround yourself with people who believe in your ability to rise. After failure, you may feel isolated, but you're not alone. Lean on friends, mentors, or communities that inspire and support you. The voices you listen to in these moments can either lift you up or pull you deeper into defeat. Choose them wisely. Remember that rising after failure requires resilience, and resilience is built in the struggle. The cracks you feel now are where strength grows. Each time you get up, you carry with you a deeper understanding of yourself and a stronger foundation for future success. Failure may feel like the end, but often it's the exact turning point that shapes you into the woman you were always meant to become. 9. How to choose people who choose you. Strong women know that the company they keep can either elevate them or drain them. Life is too short to constantly chase people for attention, respect, or love. When you choose people who choose you, you build relationships rooted in mutual care, loyalty, and trust, not one-sided effort. The first step is recognizing the signs of imbalance. If you're always the one initiating contact, making plans, or offering support while the other person rarely meets you halfway, the relationship is not mutual. Love, friendship, and partnership should feel like a two-way street, not an uphill climb that only you are walking. Choosing people who choose you means valuing reciprocity. It's about surrounding yourself with those who show up for you, not just when it's convenient for them, but especially when it's hard. These are the people who check in without being asked. Celebrate your wins as if they were their own, and stand beside you in your low moments without judgment. It also means letting go of the need to prove your worth to anyone. You don't have to earn love by over-giving, over-pleasing, or constantly proving your value. The right people will see your worth without you having to convince them. They will choose you not because of what you can do for them, but because of who you are. Sometimes this choice requires difficult decisions. You may need to distance yourself from relationships that are consistently draining or one-sided. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you start caring about yourself enough to protect your energy. When you release those who won't choose you, you create space for those who will. Strong women understand that healthy relationships are built on mutual investment. They don't chase after people who keep walking away. They focus on building bonds with those who meet them with the same effort, respect, and love they give. When you choose people who choose you, you create an environment where you can grow, thrive, and feel fully supported without having to beg for a place in someone's life. 10. How to never settle for less than you deserve. Strong women know that settling is one of the fastest ways to lose yourself. It's the quiet decision to accept less than your worth, less respect, less love, less opportunity, because it feels safer than holding out for more. But safety can be a trap, and settling often leads to a life that feels small, unfulfilled, and disconnected from your true potential. The first step in never settling is knowing your value. When you're clear about your worth, it becomes much harder for others to convince you to accept less. This applies to every area of life: your career, your relationships, your friendships, and even how you allow yourself to be treated on a daily basis. If you believe you deserve kindness, respect, and opportunity, you'll be less likely to stay in situations that offer the opposite. Never settling also requires patience. Many people accept less because they fear waiting for the right job, the right partner, or the right opportunity. But settling just to fill the space often leads to regret. Patience doesn't mean doing nothing. It means actively preparing yourself for the right things while refusing to compromise your standards for the wrong ones. It's important to understand the difference between compromise and settling. Compromise is about flexibility. It's meeting halfway while still honoring your values. Settling, on the other hand, requires you to abandon those values to fit into a situation that doesn't serve you. One is healthy, the other is self-betrayal. Strong women are willing to walk away when something doesn't align with their worth, even if it's difficult. Walking away can feel lonely at first, but it creates the space for something better to enter. You cannot receive more if your hands are full of less. Choosing not to settle means trusting that what you truly deserve is out there and that you are capable of attracting and building it. It's about refusing to lower your standards just to avoid being uncomfortable. In the end, never settling is an act of self-respect, and self-respect will always lead you to a life that reflects your highest value.